How do you feel that cities are preparing for mobility policies with with the upcoming Green Deal?
Well, when you talk about the Green Deal, we're talking about sustainability.
Yeah.
And a lot of people take sustainability for climate. But it's more than that. It's also about how to create livable cities. Not only zero emission traffic, but also the usage of the square meters of public space, because the square meters of public space are limited in each city. In some cities, even more than in other cities. A city, for example, is Amsterdam, which has been laid out 400, 500 years ago. It has a lot of narrow streets. It's not built for cars, yet there are a lot of cars. So when you see that the claim on the square meter of public space is rising, because the city is very densely populated, a lot of people use it, you have to ask yourself, what do you want with that city? Lucas already pointed out the work Anne Hidalgo did in Paris. It always begins with a clear vision. Yeah. With a clear vision, what kind of city do you want to be?
And then it's a big vision.
It's a big vision, but it's more than only climate. It's about accessibility. It's about mobility, but it's also about livability, about the possibility of recreating, enjoying yourself in public space, live there, work there, relax, etc. So when you have a vision on what kind of city you want to be, then you need a bold plan. A bold plan and a lot of perseverance, because when you try to change your city into a livable city, you will meet a lot of resistance.
How would you feel that you could anchor the role of a pedestrian and cyclist in this more broader thing?
Give them a real position and place physically in the infrastructure. Show them that you care. For example, don't avoid the grand gesture. For example, the city of Copenhagen invested a lot in cycling bridges. Okay. And they're real masterpieces of art. And by doing that, you not only provide a connection for cyclists, you also show the world that you care about cycling. And it's not just one of the modalities, but it's a full-fledged form of making a city more livable.
So what is the most vital in engaging in sustainable urban mobility? And we had 4 different answers. A, create environmental zones, 13%. Stimulating micro-mobility use, 6%. Create pedestrian and bike areas, 31%. And the largest is create visions and implementation plans. So I'm wondering, to all of you, do these answers surprise you? Anything to say, remarkable?
I'm very happy with the results.
You're very happy with the results?
Yeah, because I already mentioned when you're talking about Anne Hidalgo, it begins with the vision and the implementation of plans, and it always means a lot of change when you when you will shift towards a more sustainable mobility system instead of a car-centric approach. It affects a lot of interests of people. Car owners, shop owners, who often say or claim that when you put cities on a low car diet, that it's devastating for business. And I think there are a lot of examples that prove that it's the opposite. But you have to overcome all the criticism and skepticism. So it begins with a vision and a plan. Infrastructure is very, very important. When you don't have a coherent cycling network, people will just stop using the bicycle.
That cycling is not a goal in itself, but it's a very powerful transformational tool which brings many big, larger overarching goals to society, including health, climate, also economy, livability of cities. but health is for sure one of the cornerstones, which we have seen not only during the COVID pandemic, but also before. There's a lot of scientific evidence that if you on a daily basis use your bike or use bikes to, for instance, to commute as part of your daily commutes or daily activities, then you see that it really boosts your health condition, and it also reduces the risk of having serious diseases like heart diseases or cancer or other serious illnesses. The risk that you get that is really seriously reduced.
We have someone from the chat. Someone's asking, I'm wondering about people like me. I'm living in North Italy, and every day I have to move 30 kilometers just to work. I'm wondering about a bike, bus, or something like this. It was so much easier when I was living in the city. And perhaps for the speakers in the Zoom, do you have anything to say on this, or do you think, oh no, I'll leave it to Pete and Peter?
Yeah, I would love to say something about it, and maybe I can share. It's maybe a bit a weird example in this particular case, but I might still, if that's possible, still share my screen. I might go to the other side of the world. I might go to LA, which is a very, very, very low dense city, which is entirely based on the car. So it's a very car-based city, and even there, the bike has sort of an advantage if you couple it with the public transportation system, and that's one of the very strongholds of the Netherlands. Also, the combination of bike and transit, or bike and a train. 50% of all train journeys start with a bike journey, and in more and more cases they also end with a bike journey. So now we are hired, or we have a couple of connections to the city of LA to boost there also the bike train combination or the bike transit combination. In preparation of the 2028 Olympics, they are going to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to improve the public transportation system. And in such a low density area as LA, it can only be a success if it's the combination of the bike and transit, because that's sort of a stronghold that makes it much more feasible to use the transportation system if there's a sort of a 5-fold increase of the radius of people attracting towards the station. It really means that you have to have very good parking facilities around stations, which we have in the Netherlands. I think the same holds true for many other cities in the world, and I think certainly also to Italian cities, that if you have a good and fantastic public transportation alternative in combination with the bike, then in many instances that's a fantastic alternative for the car. So bikes and trains, or bikes and transits, or bikes and buses, I think that can work in many cases, and we are very happy to learn our experience in the combination of bike and transit.
I have to go 25 kilometers from home to Rai. I step into my car, and 25 minutes later I'm here.
Yeah.
And there's no public transport system or whatever, no mobility as a service system, how seamless it can be, that can offer the same convenience as my car. The question is it against the same price? So there is, you point out the incentives, which are very important, but I think there's also another aspect. If you don't want some modes of transport, you have to charge them more. You have to lift the barriers.
There are a couple of points to touch. So I mean, indeed. So it's the convenience, it's the seamless, it's the accessibility, and it's a price question. Yeah. Obviously. So. Absolutely. So I mean, we touched already on the question, the problem or the issue of open ecosystem. So that really, like, all providers just collaborate. You know, the cities, the public transport, that all ticketing forms are made available to mass applications like ours in order to really build a mass system. Because I mean, once you have a couple of services, I mean, that's our experience we made. Once you have a couple of systems which are not integrated and they are cheaper or better or easier or whatever, then it's a lost case for the city, really. So we need to have, unfortunately, and I have to go with you, a little bit of a pressure apparently, you know, in order to build such a system. And the second thing of what you touched, of course, is the cost scheme. There, of course, it's very important that people first realize how much they actually pay for a car. Yeah, because they, I mean, you know, so what's the average expenditure of a car in Europe, on average?
I don't know.
Come on,
I don't know.
educated guess.
An educated guess, I think about, well, can somebody help out? 300 a month?
May I react on that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm an econometrist for my study. So when I bought my first car 25 years ago, I kept track in a spreadsheet of all the costs.
Wow.
In the past 25 years, I spent 175,000 euros on my car.
In total?
Only
75.
second-hand cars. Only second-hand cars.
So the average,
Yeah, well,
A lot of money.
so
Yeah.
the average expenditure of a car in Europe is 616 euros
A month.
if you calculate everything into it.
Wow.
And that's not even, you know, that's not even the climate consequences. That's not road traffic or building or anything like that. So I mean, you know, that, and if you think about it, you know, again, utilization is 4%, so it's really a dead asset. So you can do a lot of things with this car. You know,
The
with this money.
mobility budget of 600 euros a month is quite
exactly
good.
Yeah, and of course, if you, I mean, it's rural areas like you live, you know,
Yeah.
I think we're going to stretch ourselves a little bit. And it will take a bit, but I mean, cities like Amsterdam, they are ready for that.
Yeah,
You know, people
I think
are,
so.
you know,
I
there
think
is
so.
already enough
Yeah.
supply. There is enough. You know, we need to just bring the people together. We need to make digitalization. You know, is also of public transport, the easiness, the accessibility, etc. You know, it's a package.
It's for the young generation, and they're much more used to use different modes of transport, to use apps to find it out. So, I think it's also a generational issue.
The interesting point really is that that some people change his mind to some extent, not fully. I mean, it is generation X, Y, Z, whatever you want to call them, and we really thought that our users from them, especially in Helsinki, where we have like, you know, a test lab by far the most users, so we have empiric data which support all of that. It is mostly in between, like, you know, the urban civilization, you know, like young people, modern people, no kids, no whatever, no garden, no dogs, you know, city people, and on top. Surprisingly, there is a majority, and there is a clear, you know, but we have a lot more people beyond 60 using us who just say, I don't want to drive car anymore. You know, I don't see that well. You know, this in the evenings, etc., and so on. I like the convenience of choosing my mobility. I don't have to bring my kids any longer to school or to sports or anything like that. You know, I appreciate taking public transport or maybe a shared car into the city, go out for dinner, not thinking about how much I need to drink or whatever, and taking a taxi home. I save money, I save hassle, and I save nerves.
What would be quick fixes to improve sustainable urban mobility? And I heard you talking about, that's not a quick fix, this is a whole mindset shift that we would need. Are there quick fixes? Ronald and Lucas?
Well, I'm not sure if there is a quick fix. It is really about a mental change that people have to go through. I don't believe in quick fixes.
What is quick? You know, I mean, what's the timeline here? You know, I mean, of course, we need to think. Okay, I mean, I think the improvement of the public transport system is always something which we need to aim for. I mean, that is not a quick fix. Apparently, that will take some time.
I totally agree. I think it takes time, and as Ronald said, like the main challenge, I think, is change the minds of people. Recently, there was this big Velocity conference in Lisbon. And there was one of the keynotes was the mayor of Tirana in Albania, and he said also like the largest challenge that we have, or the largest distance that we have to cover, is distance between years. So really the change the minds of and the hearts of people. And I think one of the triggers that we learned in the past is doing this by having a small scale solution at first, pilot projects, and show to the people that it really works. And there were several examples, of course, of the Netherlands, but there's also multiple examples from other cities around the world, which we helped before in creating, for instance, a corridor between the city center of an Austrian city and a campus where lots of students are cycling. And this, in this particular case, an Austrian city has been really sort of a trigger for people to see, hey, this is really working. This is and also what Peter said before, like shop owners firstly said like, oh no, will cost me money, but no, it was the other way around. They were earning more money because the street transformed to a sort of a livable street, a really livable and nice street. And that sort of pilot project, this small experiment, so to say, showed the population that this can be a trigger and a catalyzer for change in the entire city and to build out an entire cycling network. And yeah, we have done the same since the 70s, starting off with demonstration projects in the city of Den Haag and Tilburg, later on building an entire network in the city of Delft. And that formed the basis of what Peter already said, like the Crow manual, which is seen in lots of foreign countries as a sort of a Bible, this design manual, which is based on the small scale experiments that we started off in the 70s.